Hello everybody, I'm Alan from Nullspace Robotics Singapore, and I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Benny and team for the successful launch of Nullspace Robotics Philippines. Robotics and coding skills are increasingly important, in a world that is more and more connected. Our kids will grow up in a world where internet and technology is deeply embedded in our everyday lives. The work that we are doing together as the Nullspace family is all the more important because so that our next generation will know the essential skills that will prepare them for an even more connected and technology advanced future. So I've been asked to share a bit about Nullspace and how we got started. And I would like to take this opportunity to share a bit of my story of when I was a student and my journey with robotics. So I got my start in robotics as a primary school student. So back in primary school, I was already part of the school robotics club, and photo is actually from my secondary school days. I was 15 years old. This was 20 years ago, and this is one of the competitions that I took part in, and it is actually a solar car racing competition. So you have to use a solar panel to power a vehicle to move on a racetrack. And just to show you how it looks like. So my car is the one in the middle, the one that is bouncing up and down because we had no suspension, but we still managed to finish the race pretty well. So later on, as I moved on to junior college, this is 2006. I was 17 years old, 18 years old. I continued dabbling in robotics, and of course, the robots that I built back then were getting more and more advanced. This is one of the robots that we built for a competition. It's called First Robotics. This robot itself weighed about 20 kilograms, and it took many days, or rather weeks, to build. So one of the questions that I get asked very often is, how did you all get the name Nullspace? And I always jokingly tell my friends that we call ourselves Nullspace because we started from our bedrooms, and all the robotics equipments that we had, when we started Nullspace, were all parked in our bedroom. So as you can see, the photo on the bottom left, that's actually my bedroom, and we're all working in our bedrooms, working on the robot. And it's through all these robotics competitions that I met my other co-founders as well. We were all from different schools competing in the same robotics competitions, and that's how we became friends. And that's how we started Now Space. So this is actually one of our first few photos taken together as a team. This is back in 2009. Now Space was actually started in 2008. So these are all the early members of the team. We basically hired all our friends to be our robotics instructors, and our business back then was very simple. We all of us go back to our own schools, either primary school, secondary school, junior college. All of us will go back to our own schools and do robotics trainings and coach the robotics teams for competitions. And that was our way of earning an extra side income to finance our university education, or just to earn extra pocket money. Fast forward to 2013, this is Bukit Timah Fire Station. Is actually a historical landmark in Singapore because it's actually the third fire station to be built in Singapore. It's actually quite a pretty old building, built in the 1950s. And this is actually where we started our first enrichment center. Um, this building over here, the third floor, one of the unit is actually, this is where we got started. And there were many memories that we made over there. So how we got started at this place, long story short, is I was actually jogging past this estate. It's actually, if you notice all the trees behind, it's actually one of Singapore's largest nature reserve. So that a lot of people will exercise around this area. So one day, as I was jogging down the fence, I saw a sign that says "For Rent," and I decided to walk in, take a look. I saw the space, and I told my other co-founders, "Hey, this space looks good. Shall we open an enrichment center?" And cut a long story short, yeah, we opened our first center over there. We had a lot of fun over there. It was a nice place, and there were a lot of wildlife as well because it's very close to a lot of the nature. So other than wild boars and monkeys, there were also snakes and birds and bees that will come and visit us. So unfortunately, we are no longer at this area because the government took back the estate. Um, yeah, so this was one of the uh, few photos that we had from the early days. Um, so this in 2013, I was actually just a fresh university graduate. I haven't actually made up my mind about what I wanted to do with my life. I was quite confused. I obviously had an interest in robotics. I wanted to do this as a career, but I didn't want to make the jump because I'm not sure whether this will really pay off. So all this while I've been doing Nullspace on the side, and we never had a full-time staff running, or we never had a full-time staff working for us. I was also working in finance at the moment, and simultaneously I also had an offer from MIT to do my master's in finance. So back then I was very perplexed. I was torn because I didn't know whether I wanted to stay on in finance or to continue to develop Nullspace further. These some other photos. It's only much later on, in 2016, as Nullspace grew, we started offering more and more classes, more and more different courses, uh, and we basically had our first full-time teacher who was working for us. And in 2016, I decided, okay, I have enough of finance. I am going to do Nullspace full-time as a job and as a career. So I left my finance job, and I took a very big pay cut. And obviously, my parents were very pleased with me for making the decision. And I have to say, it was a very uh, interesting and difficult moment in my life as well because there were a lot of things that I didn't know how to do, like including how to really run a business and scale it up full time. Uh, but I'm quite thankful that we had a lot of wonderful colleagues that we managed to hire, that managed to bring Nullspace to where it is today. So today, this is our team in Nullspace Robotics Singapore. So, so right now, uh, we've managed to scale our operations up. Now we have quite a number of full-time teachers, full-time center managers, and marketing and HR as well. So just to give a brief overview about our business currently, we have three main business operations that we do: uh, enrichment centers, school trainings, and corporate trainings. Uh, so, uh, as you may remember, okay, we started from school trainings, which is also something that we've been working with the Ministry of Education in Singapore. We have been working with them very closely to offer programs, and as such, we also are very in tune to how the direction of education landscape in Singapore is going, and how we can better serve the needs of our students in the future. We also do a lot of corporate training programs as well, as more and more companies are looking to upskill and to provide training opportunities and more interesting team building activities for their staff. And it's also an area that we are hoping to grow. So for our enrichment center business, this is our Rochester Mall outlet, located in the west of Singapore. We actually opened this outlet in the end of 2019. We moved over from our first Bukit Timah fire station to Rochester Mall, end 2019, and as you may remember, a few months later on, everything went to lockdown. So it was another very interesting and difficult moments in our journey, and thankfully we managed to pull through the COVID period, and End of last year, we managed to open another enrichment center in Kallang Wave Mall. This is closer to the central part of Singapore, and we've managed to increase our enrollment based on the number of students. So over the years, we are also intending to double the number of enrichment centers that we have in Singapore to at least 5 or 6 enrichment centers, just to meet the needs of robotics and coding education. School trainings, we also do quite a lot of different trainings with schools, working closely with them in not just Lego robotics programs, but Arduino programs, Python programs, and even competitive robotics trainings. We send a lot of our students out for competitions. Some of the school photos that we've taken over the years, and some photos of our corporate training programs and the various partners that we work with. So the last thing that I wanted to mention is this innovation design engineering competition that we have started running in 2011. This was actually a competition that I envisioned back in 2011 when I was still a university student. I wanted to increase opportunities for students to have a chance to participate and to win and compete in robotics competitions. And we started with just 11 teams back in the first year when we started. This was 2019, right before COVID, and some of the snapshots and photos of the different events that we have. And interestingly, we just concluded our IDE series competition event for this year over the last weekend. So this just wanted to show some photos and snapshots. The official event photos are not out yet because the photographer is still cleaning up the photos. But this year, we managed to grow the event to 1,500 participants across the various schools and organizations. We are close to 100 schools and organizations that took part in this year's competition event. So Nullspace, as an entity and an organization, we are uniquely positioned to leverage on our network with schools and our own enrichment centers and our influence, and to be able to chart the path forward where a lot of other enrichment centers are not able to. Uh, we the amount of reach that we enjoy through the competition event is not something that we take for granted, and we hope to be able to use such a platform to influence change and friendly competition among all the students in Singapore. So where do we go from here, and what's next? So right now, Nullspace, we have presence in both Singapore and Manila, and the idea is to slowly scale up our operation and our presence, to other Southeast Asian countries. Of course, not limited to the ones that are shown on the map, but the eventual goal is to create a network, of enrichment centers, of educators and students, to share in the best practices, and to uh, even have some kind of a student exchange programs or even educators exchange programs, where we can have students and educators from different countries visiting each other and learning from each other. And we also hope to be able to organize the IDE series competitions in other parts of the world as well. Of course, starting with Manila, and slowly working our way into other different countries to make IDE series a truly global competition. And with that, once again, I would like to take this opportunity to really congratulate Benny and team. The road ahead may not be easy as we're starting anything new in a new region, but I'm very confident in your abilities and the team members that you have put together to be able to pull this off. And I wish you all the best and all the success, in the many months and many years ahead. So congratulations. Goodbye.